Hello and welcome. Today we've got Adam Shardlow and James Mason, and we will be discussing the value of precious metals. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicholasfeniarmin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview. Adam and James, thank you for joining me. And how are you? James, we go first.
Yeah, fine, Nicholas. We're very happy chappies at the minute because we're helping lots of people. We're being kept very busy, so we're happy. We're very happy. We couldn't be happier because we just managed to reach out to more people, so and able to do what we do more so. So yeah, we just we have to be kept on our toes though. We've got a lot to give, so we've got a lot of content to put together. So it does take up a lot of time, but once it's done, it's worth it. It's worth it because we're helping people. You know, it's just helping people be in a better place financially, Nicholas.
Absolutely. And Adam, how about you?
Yeah, all good. Struggling a little bit with my throat, but we're soldiering on. But yeah, doing good. Just as James said, we're kind of driven by the mission of just helping people, and it gets us up in the morning, and it's really good. I think to have that moment when people's eyes are opened, and as you know, Nicholas, with a lot of different topics, helping and educating people, once people's eyes are opened, they can never unsee what they've seen. And it's very, very rewarding.
We get a good buzz from it, Adam, don't we? We love doing what we do. So
absolutely, that's absolutely wonderful. So I'm so proud to have a platform where I can give value to the viewers, and this is what this is all about. And, you know, sometimes, you know, it's medical, you know, sometimes it's in the real truth news that we need, that we've been neglected by the mainstream media. And even being educated about precious metals, because the deep state have trapped us into the Federal Reserve System, which is a slave debt system. Yeah. And they hate this. What we're doing right now is going into the precious metals area. They hate that. That's why they made it a culture fashion for silver to be you know, the fashion to wear, because they don't want us to have gold. They want us to have the cheap stuff, and that they devalued as well. So I'm going to let you guys take the mic. You guys do the presentation. Let me know what you guys want to tell the viewers. And we'll go from there.
So first things first, Nicholas, I have to go for the disclaimer, as we always do. We're not financial advisors. We never wish to be financial advisors. We don't believe in financial advice. We only educate families. We only we make them financially aware, so they can make their own choices. We're all about empowering families to make their own decisions, make their own choices, and just putting the ball back in their court. Once you understand the enemy, you can defeat the enemy, can't you? In our eyes, the enemy is the system and the banking system. So if you understand it, you can. If you understand it, you've got a, how do I put it? You've got a toolbox. You've got the tools to put the ball back in your court. That's the best way to put it. So yes, we will never tell people what to do. We'll never advise. We'll only ever share information with families. Now we'll show them what we do, because we always practice what we preach. We do everything that we put out there. We help our own families, and we help lots of other families do the same thing. But they can watch what we do. We'll share the information. They can either do it or don't. It's totally up to them.
Absolutely. Go for it, Adam. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I think just to feed into what you said initially, Nicholas, about the Federal Reserve and central banks talking about precious metals, they don't want us to do it, but they do it themselves. And we've said this many times before, it's the classic case of do what we say, not as we do. And hopefully we can, you know, go some way to tip the scales, tip the balance, and just give an alternative to what people can do with their hard-earned money. So today we want to go through the top 5 things that no one really tells you when you're buying precious metals, and it's things that we've learned about, but we wish we knew it at the beginning. So we're going some way to pay it forward and actually give this information to people that they can have from the beginning, and that they can have the power in their hands from day one.
Yeah, because if we'd have known what we're going to go through now, right at the beginning, we would have had a lot more metals in our pockets or in our vaults, wherever we keep it. But we'd have been better off at them, wouldn't we? But it's just part of the journey. We're not crying about it. But we just, obviously, everything we learn, we share with everybody, because it will benefit you, especially if you're just starting out. It will benefit you, or even if you have already started buying metals, you'll take some good information away from our videos. So
maybe if they taught us silver and gold and precious metals in school, maybe we would have been educated. But hey, let's do our own research. That's why you guys are here, and I'm really grateful for that.
Perfect. Well, look, can you see this screen here?
Yep.
Can you see that? Yep.
Things no one tells you about precious metals.
Yes, and this is, I guess, for us, this is in no particular order, and there could be 10 things that we could speak about. These are just 5 that we think speak the most to us.
Yeah.
The first one is not really anything to do with the metals in particular. It's just the cost of waiting. We've been doing this for about 6 years now, and along that journey, we've had people that have said, "Oh, that's really interesting." They've heard what we've had to say, and then we've seen them years later, and they've said, "Oh, how's gold looking now?" For example, and we've gone, "Yeah, really good," and they're like, "Oh, I wish I'd have done it back then." And the cost of waiting, the cost of not doing anything, is painful. And I just want to throw some numbers up here just to show you how much it can cost you for waiting and not taking action. So if you'd have met someone, let's go back 20 years, and someone said, "Look, you've got £10,000. Do you want to invest it in metals? Do you want to buy gold with it?" And you just said, "Actually, no, I'm not that interested," or, "Well, I'll see how it goes." And you did nothing for 20 years, and then you met back up. You'd have actually, the cost to you would be £53,000 for not taking action with your 10,000 of paper money 20 years ago. So that's the cost of actually not doing anything for 20 years.
And we did a lot of numbers on this, Adam, didn't we? We spent a lot. We always spend a lot of time working out these numbers. So everything we say is spot on. You're factoring in inflation, interest rates, everything. So
this is net of everything.
Yeah.
And if you'd done the same 15 years ago, and you had this, you just said, right, £10,000, someone had given the opportunity to invest that money into gold. Current day, you would have been £30,000 better off. If you hadn't have done that and you said, "You know what, I'll leave it," then it's going to cost you £30,000. That's the cost of waiting. Time is the key element when looking at precious metals. That's your biggest advantage, time. So yes, the best time to buy metals is 30 years ago. That's the best time, yeah. The second best time is today, and the worst time is tomorrow. That's how we would kind of sum that up as some idea. People always say, is today a good time? Sure, today's a good time.
The only wrong time, Adam, is when? Tomorrow, isn't it?
Tomorrow.
In our view. That's just in our view. My little boy, I opened an account up for him when he was 3 days old. So he now owns gold, silver, platinum, and palladium, and we save for him every single month. So sooner the better.
10 years ago. Now, things look differently 10 years ago, and the market did actually dropped quite a bit. But even 10 years ago, when the market dropped, you would have still been better off with gold than paper money, as you can see here. By not buying gold, you would have been £3,700 worse off than if you would have bought it, even when it went down that time. And 5 years ago, you can see 7,227. That's the cost of not buying gold for 5 years, starting with 10,000 in each example.
We do witness this quite a lot, Adam, don't we? I mean, I speak to a lot of people, and so do you, and where they haven't taken action and they do regret it. And this isn't just making this up, it really isn't. Well, we just speak to people all the time, and we want to help them, but some people sit on the fence, and the only thing that happens when you sit on the fence for that long is you get a sore backside. They just need to take some action, don't they? So we do try and encourage them, but again, we don't advise, so we don't tell people what to do. Just give them the information, and they can either take it or leave it. We're cool. But yeah, they've got to want to help themselves. They've got to want to help themselves.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, isn't it?
It's tough as well, because some people, we always talk about this when we're, I guess, motivating people, because some people can be consumed by information and they feel paralyzed by it. And initially, we always thought, well, let's show people what they can make. But actually, what people can lose is a lot of the time, rightly or wrongly, a far stronger motivator. We've found people will do more so that they don't lose than they will to actually make. I guess it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's just the fact of, look, paper money on one side, gold on the other, and over time, you're better with the metal than the paper, just to sum it up. So that's the first one. The cost of waiting. If we knew this at the beginning, we'd have put way more money into metals and been in a different place, I guess, ourselves over time. The second is ownership. This is massive. It beats price.
This is more important, isn't it, Adam? More important than the first point.
Yeah, because if you don't own it, it doesn't really matter what you paid for it, when you did it, how much you've got. If you don't own it, then so what? Who cares, about the other details? So here's some different ways of purchasing metals, some of the finer detail where you don't actually own it. And ETFs. So ETFs are a way of kind of betting on the price of metals, but you don't own the physical metal itself. Okay, so you can still, look, it's not one size fits all. That ETFs might be a good option for a very small percentage of people, but for people that want to own physical metals, ETFs, you don't. Okay, unallocated metals. So some companies out there will say you want to buy 10 grams of gold. And you send them your money and they say, yeah, you own 10 grams of gold, but they tell you nothing about that 10 grams. And the reason for that is it's not a specific 10 grams. It's not a certain bar with a serial bar number. And it's just they have to give you 10 grams of gold at some point in the future. It could be one bar today. That bar could be sold. It could be another bar tomorrow. But you don't own that bar of gold because it can be changed, it can be moved. So unallocated is you can be given favorable or more favorable terms with some of these things, but for me that's a bit of a red flag. If you're getting discounted this and free that and stuff, then why is that?
It's not a good idea, is it? Unallocated.
Yeah. Money in the bank. Believe it or not, you don't own it. And this is what we've said many times before. There is a reason that governments and banks, countries, have deposit protection schemes. Why? Because there's a chance you might not get that money back. If the bank were just storing it for you and it was on your personal balance sheet, then there would be no need because they're just acting as a storage facility. That's not the case. When you give money to a bank, it is on their balance sheet. It is not legally owned by you. And this is why governments have to step in with other measures to make sure that there is something in place should the bank fail or take too many risks with your money. Okay? And the other version, I guess, is paper gold. Another version of investing in gold. But when you're not owning the physical metal, you have a counterparty risk. And what that means is you're not just betting on the price of the gold going up, but you're also, I guess, betting that company can pay you out at the end of the day. I always think of it like, when you go to the betting shop, go to the bookies, you put some money on a horse, you're betting that one, that horse can win. Two, you're betting that betting shop can actually has the money to pay you out. And this is the way, if you don't own it physically, the risk that you're also involved in. There's two parts to it. Does that make sense so far?
Absolutely. Do you do you just want to explain the paper gold a little bit more? So when you say paper gold, just say that part again. Sorry.
Yeah, so people have like gold certificates, which is you basically get a piece of paper saying that you own metal, but you don't get the physical metal. Same with the ETFs. There's third party counterparty risk as well with that as well. So what it means is, if I let's say I buy 10 grams of gold and it's physical gold and I've got it in my hand, then all I'm looking to increase is the price of the gold over time. Yeah, that's all. That's the only thing that I'm looking at. If I've got paper gold or certificate gold or ETFs, then what you're doing is you're saying, look, I'm hoping the price of the gold goes up, but I'm also hoping that the company that I've got this ETF with, or this paper gold or this certificate of gold, can actually pay me out when the gold does increase. Because you've not got the physical product yourself.
It's a bit like not paying the VAT. They say, well, you don't have to pay the VAT. We'll just store it for you. Okay, we'll give you a receipt or a certificate which represents the amount of gold that you purchase.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever it goes up, you can supposedly cash out whenever you want. But then if these companies went bankrupt, they're in their right to empty out all of those storage and keep it for themselves, a bit like what the bank does.
Yeah, we've heard some white horror stories in our time.
So another question I have, just before we move on, is money in a bank. You don't own it. Of course you don't. And they pay rubbish interest. It should be 12% and they pay under 1%. Now, is there another option if people wanted to store their money in a bank that they have completely ownership, similar to you just having your money in your pocket?
Good question. I'm sure there's lots of variations of, paper money in a bank, but banks use that money, don't they? They use it to lend it out to other people. They risk it. So I think, look, we just, for ourselves, we want to get away from that for our own funds. We just want to make sure that the metal that we buy is not leveraged, it's not loaned out. It's actually, and we'd be terrible salesmen if we were salesmen. Buying gold is the most boring investment you'll ever make. Okay, not something you'll probably hear in many videos.
Well, I personally, Nicholas, I don't have currency in a bank. Well, I do to pay bills, but that's it.
Absolutely. Having money in a bank is the biggest scam ever.
Yeah.
Because when we go to the bank and I want to take my money out, they say to me, "Why? Do you have proof? If I want to take 3,000, I don't want it. Why? What's the proof? It's my money." But gold, or if I have something that's physical, I can sell it whenever I want. No questions asked. I've got that control.
Well, Nicholas, we're meeting. Well, so we're meeting. Our customers are telling us their stories every day, just about. Adam will tell you.
You beat me to it, James. You beat me to it. So, we get a lot of feedback from people wanting to buy metals, and they let us know the interaction with their banks. Some banks are more flexible than others. And one bank actually, and the name of this bank's name crops up all of the time. And the customer actually said to them, "Look, this is my money, right? This is my money. I've decided that this is what I want to do with it. It's mine to do what I want, right?" And they asked the question to the bank. And the bank said quite blatantly, and I've not heard this before, they said, "Yep, you own the money, but we own the account." And at that point, what can you do? They're laying their cards on the table and saying, yes, it might be your money, but it's sat in an account that we own, and we dictate what happens with that account. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we managed to help them, and they actually closed their account in the end. They're not from information from us, but off their own back. They just said, look, this is ridiculous. And everything worked out in the end. But this is the reality.
It's happening more so now, Nicholas, than what it ever has happened.
Yeah.
It's happening all the time now. People are struggling to buy precious metals, which to us, it's not a good thing, but it is a good thing in a way, because people are realizing firsthand, it's not just coming from us now, they're realizing firsthand that what we've been saying for many, many years is true. It's true.
Absolutely.
The banks have got full control. Yeah,
absolutely. No, the bank has definitely got full control, and it's not even backed by gold or silver as well. When we talk about, it's just a disgrace, it's a disaster. But you know what? I want to know what the drop menu is for the you own it. I really want to find that out. And the viewers are like, come on, hurry up.
That's skipping through the video. Yeah. Well, look, I guess there's nothing kind of special other than the total opposite of what you're looking at. So it's physical, first of all. It's not a promise. A lot of these things on the other side are just promises, and promises are good until they're not. Okay. It's fully allocated. So it's not, you know the exact serial bar numbers that you own. And we'll talk about storage in a second, because that, again, many ways of doing that, but you know exactly, you could write them down, and if they all got thrown into a pile, you could pick your metal out of that pile again, fully allocated and in your name, legally owned by you, not sat on any company's balance sheet, not a bank's balance sheet, not a storage company's balance sheet. It's on your personal balance sheet. And this is what we, when we were looking at different companies, these are things that we found out. There's a lot of companies out there that will give you unallocated metals or a digital form of metals or something like that. Keep it simple, guys. Physical metal, allocated, and it's in your name. And here's the key question that summarizes all of this and ensures that you've ticked all the boxes. If the company disappears, does your gold also disappear? Or does your paper money also disappear, you could say? Okay, so always ask that question. If the company disappears, does your gold also disappear?
Well, for every company we went to initially, Adam, I must have researched, I don't know how many, one heck of a lot of precious metals companies to work with before we started working with these guys. And that was the first question I used to ask every time. Because I've heard so many horror stories of people losing so much money. And basically, whose balance sheet is it on? Is it on yours or is it on theirs?
Yep.
Key point.
Okay, let's move through to number 3, storage. I think worth saying here, we are not saying there is a right and a wrong way to store metals. It's not one size fits all. People have different opinions and thoughts on it, preferences, and that's totally fine. Some people want it in a vault down here, some people want it under the mattress, some people want it in a a home safe or whatever. These are just things to consider when you're looking to store your metals. Is it insured? Is it insured if it's in a vault? Is it actually fully insured, 100% insured? If it's in your home, is it insured? Now, we had one of our customers that came to us he asked us for some help, and he came back to us and said, look, I just wanted to let you know about a conversation I've had with my insurance company. He said, I've got some metals. They're not at home, but I've spoke to my insurance company, who does my home contents insurance, and said to them, I'm considering having some metals in my house, just calling to see what the options are. Do you insure me? Is there a limit? What do I need to do? And they said, we won't insure the metals in your home. And he said, fine, no problem. And secondly, because you've told us that you might have metals in your home at some point in the future, we can't continue to insure you from this day forward. And he said, hold on a minute. I've not actually brought any metals into my home. I've not done anything. I'm just inquiring. And they said, yeah, we understand. We have to cancel your insurance.
Wow.
It's smart, isn't it?
when he rang me, I was like, this is insane. It turned out that, there was a solution for him and he got it all sorted in the end, which is all good. But look into these things. Just because you've got metals at home, are they insured? Access. Do you have access to your metals? If you've got them in the safety deposit box, I guess throughout all of this, there's not many things we would say don't do. But one, don't put your metals in a bank. I guess that's one of the only things we would say. Yeah. If you're taking paper money out of a bank, don't then go put your metals back into the bank.
We've heard of people doing that, putting their paper money into metals and putting it back in the bank.
Yeah, we would say definitely don't. Yeah. It's been interesting over the last 14 months to do with access. It's easier for metal to come to people than people to go to metal. That's been quite interesting as far as access and how you actually access your metals. Are your metals audited? Is there someone keeping a check on the metals that are there, that are yours, that someone's actually checking that they're still there? We've all seen the documentaries through history where people have said, yes, so-and-so's got metals here, and it turns out that they haven't, and it's gone missing, or it's can't be located. VAT free for silver. Now, this is a point that you mentioned, Nicholas, earlier. If you want your silver, palladium, and platinum at home, no problem, but you're going to pay the VAT, the sales tax. In the UK, it's 20%. If you do it in a specific way, it's something called a bonded warehouse, which is like a vault in a duty-free zone, you don't have to pay the VAT. But look into the detail. The devil is in the detail of all of this stuff. We actually think that you can store metals in the right way, where it's not on any company's balance sheet, and you can have the best of both. But there's many companies that it looks like it's good for you, but it actually isn't. So you need to be aware of that. Some people say, look, happy to pay the VAT to have it at home. Fine, no problem. Just be aware of it. Is it independently audited? If you gave me your metals, James, it would be easy for me to say, yeah, I've still got them. I'll sign a piece of paper saying I've still got them. But are they independently audited? Is it someone else keeping a check on me that I'm saving them for you? Are there any added benefits to storing in certain places? So are there added benefits to having metals stored in a storage facility? Or are there added benefits to having them stored in your home? One way that we store metals, we actually get a better price when we sell them back, and we can have them delivered at any point. But again, the devil's in the details. So we're not saying right or wrong either way. We actually do a mixture of both, having stored and at home. But be aware of this stuff. Are you getting a fair price? Are you getting a fair price for the value that you're actually storing? If you're storing £100 worth of gold and it's costing you, £10 a month, £20 a month, it's not a fair deal. Does the storage fees, do they go up with the value of the metals? So actually it stays relative to what you've got, or is it just a one-off fee? So yeah, sometimes that can penalise people buying certain quantities. And also peace of mind. James, just tell us when you used to have quite a lot of metals in your home at the very beginning, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't leave the house. I don't leave the house. Yeah, it just makes you a little bit paranoid, to tell you the truth. Don't get me wrong, I still have some stashed somewhere, but it's good. I always think it's nice to have something, even just for when we're doing our videos, showing people the physical metals. It's good, but yeah, I was just always worried about it. I didn't really have peace of mind. Where if it went away for a few days, I was always worried about it, or I'd take it with me and sit on it. So it swings and roundabouts, really. It depends on you as a person and what you prefer and what your situation is. But we're just here to share information with people to maybe make them look into things that they might not have otherwise. It's just to highlight certain points, isn't it? I mean, we've looked at so many different companies, Adam, haven't we? And compared what they have to offer and looked at all these things. Because some companies on the surface will look, and this is talking about the price of metals now I'm talking about, on the surface they might look cheaper. But when you dig into it, they've got all these charges for this, charges for that, charges for this. And the storage charges are sky high. And there's lots of things that, they'll get you in other ways, won't they? But the main thing for me is, I do both, but most of mine is in a vault because it gives me peace of mind. I don't have to worry so much. But I was worried stiff all the time initially. It was always on my mind.
Okay, so the fourth thing, and this is something we'll not bore you with the long version, but we could do a 3-hour lecture on the buyback price because this is
an important point, Adam, though, isn't it? It's such an important point, and not many people actually look at this. People only look at the price at the beginning, what they're buying it for. People never seem to look at the buyback price, do they?
Yeah, very, very important. So for us, we actually start with the end in mind. And I think it's the most overlooked part, actually looking at the other end and what you're going to do with your metals, what price you're going to get and all this kind of stuff. So
from our experience, isn't it?
Yeah, we start with the end in mind, and not all percentages are equal. And let me explain. I just want to give a little information about how the precious metals markets work, just very briefly. So look, you've got something called the spot price or market price. It's kind of an interchangeable term. And this is the global market price. Think of it like the exchange rate. You swap pounds for euros or for dollars. And you'll see, you might do a search online and see the exact exchange rate, the exact spot price. But then when you go to exchange your currency, you never get that exact rate. You always get something a little bit above that. And that's how the company makes money, the difference between the exchange rate and what you pay. Then let's say you've been on holiday, you come back, you've got a few euros left over, and you go to exchange them back to pounds. Again, you don't get that exact exchange rate. You get something a little bit below. And this is how, again, the company makes money. So they're making money on when they sell it to you and then when they buy it back, okay? So precious metals are exactly the same. You've got the spot price and then you've got the buy price. And let's just say, just to keep these numbers really rough, that you're paying 20%, okay? It's probably not that, but let's just say it's 20%. That's what you would pay. And that 20% is your upfront cost. And that's a known cost. It's 20% of the price today. Now, when you go to sell your metals and the company buys them back from you, they might buy them back, as an example, at 5% below the spot price. So 20% when you buy them, 5% when you sell them or the company buys them back. What you can't do is add 20 and 5 together, because the 20% is today, the 5% is sometime in the future where the value will have changed. And, we're all hoping that precious metals go up over time. So as the value of that, your metals goes up over time, the value of that percentage, that 5%, goes up as well. Okay? Let me give you an example. Just hold on if I've kind of lost anyone at just this moment. So let's say you've got £10,000 and you've already bought it, you paid your 20%, and you've got £10,000 worth of gold, yeah? And you sell your £10,000 worth. Well, if you sold it today and it was 5% today, then it's going to cost you £500. If your metals doubled in value to 20,000, then 5% of 20,000 is 1,000. So you've actually given more back than you initially thought. And if you work out that 1,000 that it's cost you, in comparison to the 10,000 that you started with, you've actually paid 10% as a fee when the company buys back from you. Does that make sense, Nicholas, or have I lost everyone, do you think?
No, I think that makes perfect sense. Yeah,
people can watch the video back, can't they? If they struggle with it, they can watch it.
Yeah.
So the whole point is, is doing this with your eyes open, starting with the end in mind, and looking at what the buyback price is. Some people aren't even aware of what it would be. They just, maybe they assume their company will buy the metals back at the spot price, the market price, which is doable. It is possible to do that, but just be aware of it. Some companies will give you a cheaper buy price, but they'll give you a worse buyback price. So again, it might look like you're getting a better deal, but they're taking it from somewhere else. So you've got to compare all of these things, apples and apples together, to make sure that you're getting the best overall. Personally, I would rather pay a little bit more upfront in the buy price and get a better buyback price, because as the metals grow and the value of those metals grow, I know I'm getting all of that growth for myself, and I'm not having to give it back to anyone.
Yeah, I'll second that, Adam. Definitely.
Okay, the last thing is flexibility, and this is a bit of an umbrella topic. It's not a specific thing that we're looking at, a certain type of flexibility, but just the whole process of buying metals. So can you switch between metals? Do you have that flexibility? Do you have the option to switch between the metals? We're doing some really interesting videos at the moment, which we'd love to show you, Nick, maybe come on another time, about switching between gold and silver. It's something called the gold-silver ratio, where you can actually get more free metals just for switching between gold and silver at certain points. I know that sounds too good to be true, but it really isn't. You can do it. Can you get metals delivered at any time? Is there any limitations? Do you have to go get the metals, or do they come to you? Can you sell them back easily? If you need to. I think for most people, buying precious metals is a long-term thing, and people hope that they don't need to sell them. But you never know what's around the corner. Can you do it easily? Can you buy with different methods? Bank transfer, credit card, debit card, crypto. I'm sure we'd all agree crypto is going to be part of our lives and is becoming more and more part of our lives. Can you actually buy with crypto? Can you sell your metals and receive crypto? If you don't want to get involved with cash at all, is that an option? Can you buy down to the penny? Are you limited with certain amounts that you can buy? Can you choose where your metal's stored? Do you actually have that option? If you're looking to have metals stored, can you choose the location? Some locations may be more beneficial than others. Can you transfer metals from one account to the next? That's something that we do for ourselves. We actually send metals from one gold account to another gold account, and it's still physical, real metals. I mean, that was the last point on flexibility. I think what we always want to extend to people is if they want any help navigating any of this, then just to get in contact with us. So I think there's going to be a link at the bottom of the video for people to just have
absolutely.
a chat with us.
Adam, if you send me a link after this interview, I would definitely put it in the description below, so that if anybody has any questions about gold and silver and precious metals and everything that we've spoken about, which is very interesting, and it's something that everyone needs to be aware of, because we need to create a new system and leave the Fed, leave this fiat money currency. We have to stop giving away power to them and start putting power back into the people. We are sovereign beings, absolutely. So
it's spot on, mate. It's spot on.
I interview so many people when it comes to med beds, and it could be about gold, education, it could be about spirituality, and that's what we're doing. This is why I'm so proud to have boys like you on my platform, where we can put the knowledge into the people and we can have that power to create a new system and stop letting globalists rip us apart.
We can reach out and help more people, mate. That's why we're so appreciative. That's why we're so appreciative of you allowing us on to actually share this information, because we can help more people. It's as simple as that. People need to know this stuff. So at least they can make their own choices then, can't they? They can take back control of their own personal economies. That's the way we put it anyway. Because too many people out there, too many families out there are reliant on the government, on somebody else, basically. And the government, just from my point of view, doesn't give two hoots about you and me. They don't give two hoots.
No, they don't. Absolutely not. So, guys, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
I think
please get in touch. Please, I mean, we decided. Sorry, Adam. We decided at the very beginning of all this that we would speak to every single person that actually gets in contact with us. Because we could have automated everything, but we wanted the personal touch, and we believe that people want to speak to another person and not a machine. So every person that gets in touch with us, as you could probably see, we're not salesmen. We're not salesmen by a long. We don't ever want to be salesmen. We're not going to try and sell you anything. You get in touch. Well, Adam will speak to you in most cases, and he'll ask you lots of questions, and he'll find out what's best for you. But it'll help you decide what's best for you. He won't tell you what's best for you. It'll just help you find your way. And that's what we do. We give every single person. It's a lot harder for us doing this because Adam's on the phone from Adam 7 a.m. till 8, 9 at night or something daft.
Yeah. You might hear my voice in a few.
That's why it's voice, isn't it? But we will speak to every person, and we're here to help people any way we possibly can.
Thank you so much, James. And Adam, is there anything that you would like to say?
I guess I would just second what James has said. Is just get in contact with us and let's just have a chat. And maybe it's, we say your current situation, precious metals, maybe isn't the right thing for you right now. There's some people that it isn't. We're honest. It's not one size fits all, but let's just have the conversation and see where we get to step by step.
Okay, great. Well, I will leave the link below so that people can have a look at you and contact you and to find out more. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful education, and we'll definitely do this sometime again soon.
Yeah, brilliant, Nicholas. No, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much.
You're very welcome. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.